As we know that this is the month of Ramadan, and we know in this month Quran was revealed. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات. We know that verse speaks about this. The Quran was revealed in this month of Ramadan, and we know the period of revelation was 23 years. With regards to Surah Al-Qadr, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةِ الْقَدْرِ. This Quran was revealed in the night of power. In one night, complete Quran from Lawh al-Mahfuz to the heaven just above us. In one night. But from there to the Prophet ﷺ, it took 23 years. 13 years in Mecca, 10 years in Medina. So when it comes to Quran, we as Muslims are being grouped into 4 groups. The first class, the top class, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about them. الذين آتيناهم الكتاب يتلونه حق تلاوته. That those who recite the Quran excessively, maybe 2 or 3 paras per day. This is the top class. And then the second group is that فَقْرَأُوا مَا تَيَسَّرَ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ. Read as you can. If you can manage 1 line, 2 lines a page, read as you can. So there's no way that it should be a 0 the whole day, no Quran. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask us why we never Quran. I was busy, I never, even 1 line, even a surah that is very short, you couldn't read. Subhanallah. So this Quran as a guide, as a guidance to us, we need to put this Quran into our hearts. We need to love this Quran. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also speaks about this category. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us. If there's anything that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam complained about, he said, وَقَالَ الرَّسُولُ يَا رَبِّ إِنَّ قَوْمِ اتَّخَذُوا هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ مَهْجُورًا. SubhanAllah. So he complained about, look at my people, have abandoned this Quran. They don't want to read this Quran. They are prepared to read any book, any newspaper. But when it comes to Quran, they feel tired, they feel lazy. You know, I don't have wudu, or I don't have that, I'm busy, so many excuses. Without knowing that this Quran is your manual book for your life. If you want to be successful, you want to be successful in this life and the hereafter, alayka bil Quran. You need to recite this Quran. Coupled with that, we need to also to try and understand the Quran. Like how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about those who just read Quran, recite Quran so excessively, but not even a single surah or even a verse they understand. The main objective for Quran is for you to understand. لِيَدَّبَّرُوا آيَاتِهِ. You need to ponder and understand the message that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَالَّذِينَ لَمْ يَخِرُّوا عَلَيْهَا ثُمًّا وَعُمْيَانًا. Those who don't fall into these verses of Quran, deaf and blind. Alhamdulillah, we read so much. Let us also try to understand even the surah that we normally use for our salahs. whether it's Surah Al-Ikhlas, whether it's Surah Al-Lahab, whether it's Surah Al-Nasr, whether it's Surah Al-Kawthar. We need to understand these short surahs so that it becomes real when you read them. That's why Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that, do you know the best person? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. The best person among you are those who learn the Quran, number one. And not only learning, but also they teach others. Quran is that the more you share, the more you even read better, the more even Allah will give you. That's the opposite of money. If you spend, you got less in your hands. But Quran and Islamic knowledge, the more you give, the more you get. There's no way you can keep to yourself. How many surahs do you know? And how many surahs have you taught anyone? SubhanAllah. We need to share this. If you have one surah, that's why Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam don't need to wait for the entire Quran and you start sharing with everyone else. بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً. Convey even one verse. Share with someone else. Be it within your family, be it with your friends, be it to anyone. SubhanAllah. So that when we go, inshallah, Allah takes us away, and then we benefit. If you look at those three, when we leave this world, there's one thing that will help you, which is the Quran. If you taught somebody behind, and that person is still reading that Quran, SubhanAllah, you get a reward. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the understanding and also the ability. For those who can't read at all, we need to start taking steps. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq. I can see our speakers here, inshallah.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ولي الصالحين وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله الصادق الوعد الأمين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. Respected, most honorable listeners, beloved brothers, mothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through His infinite grace and mercy, has blessed us once again with the auspicious and a month which is full of blessings, the month of Ramadan al-Mubarak. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to witness the remaining of this month with afiyah and to the best of our ability to fulfill the rights and the obligations that we have towards this month. So that when we exit this month as people who are better than what when we entered this month of Ramadan. My beloved brothers, mothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us with a purpose in this world. And that purpose is outlined very clearly, it is defined in the Quran, in the verse of Surah Al-Dhariyat. وَمَا خَلَقَتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created man and jinn except that he may worship me. Now in order for us to worship Almighty Allah Azza wa Jal, it is important that we recognize who our Allah is. And an example is generally given that a person finds that on a monthly basis or a weekly basis, a certain amount is being deposited into his account from an unknown source. Any human being who has insaniya and who is a normal, sane human being, after a time will try to inquire that who is this being, who is this individual that is favoring me with this gift on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, whatever it may be. And he will try to identify the person and then go to the person, express his gratitude, and he will be appreciative towards this individual for his kind gesture towards him. So imagine you and I are experiencing and enjoying the ni'am and the bounties of Allah on a daily basis. Every single moment that we are surviving, we are living, we are enjoying the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at a simple bounty which our minds do not even go towards. And that is the oxygen that we are breathing. We have just come out, not very long ago, from a situation which taught all of us such important lessons, and that was the COVID. Where we were taught the lesson that Allah is giving us this oxygen free of charge from the time we are born till the time we die. Not a single person received a statement and invoice from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the oxygen that we are breathing. Yet during that period of time, we had to pay for the machine and we had to pay for oxygen. Imagine the kindness of Allah. Imagine the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is besides the many other bounties that Allah is blessing us with on a daily basis, every single moment. So any human being that has insaniya in him, that has sound intellect in him, he would say that, I am being blessed in so many different ways. Let me identify who is this mun'im, who is this being who is blessing me with these bounties. Yes, we all know it is Allah. We all believe in Allah. We all know life is in the hands of Allah. But recognizing Allah is a different thing altogether. When we recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then to come into the ma'siyah of Allah, the disobedience of Allah, will almost be impossible, if not impossible. Then to come into the disobedience of Allah, to do anything against the commands of Allah, will become impossible for a person. And then even the disbelievers out there, it won't be possible for anyone to be committing shirk with Allah. It won't be possible for anyone not to believe in Allah, because we have recognized Allah. So this is the purpose of our creation, and that is why the commentators mention that the tafsir of the word liya'budun, which means that I have not created man and jinn except to worship me. Worshipping means to recognize Allah, because that is the first step to worshipping Allah. That is the first step to come into the ma'rifah of Allah, to recognizing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah has created us for this purpose. Now how can this beautiful month of Ramadan help us in acquiring this purpose for which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us? There are many different ways. But let us also understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created every human being. Allah could have created us on a natural disposition and a natural fitrah, and kept us on that fitrah. The natural disposition, where, like we mentioned, any human being will realize that I am breathing the oxygen. Who is blessing me with this oxygen? I am eating my food on a daily basis. Who is blessing me with this food? I am wearing my clothes. I am doing this and this and this. These are the bounties of whom? And then you would not have found any shirk. You would not have found anyone disobeying Allah. Everyone. وَلَوْ شَاءَ رَبُّكَ لَجَعَلَ النَّاسَ أُمَّةً وَاحِدًا. If Allah wanted, Allah could have kept all of us on the straight path, on the path of Tawheed, and everyone could have been people of Iman. But the purpose from Allah to create us was لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. So while the natural disposition of every human being is that he should recognize Allah and worship Allah, but there is a purpose why Allah created us, and that is to test us who will recognize Allah and who will not recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this, in order to test insan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us with two instincts. Every person has two components within him which Allah has created us with. The one is known as Abdur, the ruh, the soul. And the second is known as the Nafs. What is the ruh? In the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the disbelievers asked Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ. What is the ruh? Allah commanded Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to respond and say, قُلِ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي. Ruh is by the command of my Rabb. What we understand from this is the ruh has a direct link and attachment with divinity, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is why the ruh will always inspire a person, instigate a person, encourage a person to do that which is good, because it is linked to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On the other hand, the nafs is linked to shaitan. The nafs is linked to evil. So these two, the ruh and the nafs, constantly from the beginning of a person's life till the end of a person's life are having a tug of war as to the nafs trying to pull a person towards ma'asiyah, the ruh trying to pull a person towards the ita'ah and the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, this ruh and this nafs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, it is there to test insan. So if a person allows his nafs, gives the nafs that allowance to take control of the ruh and to take control of this individual, then the example is often given like that of a horse rider. A person who is not a seasoned horse rider, it's the first time that he is riding a horse, he is an amateur, he does not know the rules of what to do and how to do or how to even mount the horse. Allah has given the horse a very sensitive sense. And the moment the person mounts that horse, the horse immediately knows whether this person knows what he is doing or he does not know what he is doing. Whether he is experienced and he has the knowledge, or whether he is a first time, he is an amateur, he is taking a chance. And if that individual does not have the experience and the know-how of even how to mount the horse, that horse will take him and run amok with him. That horse may even throw him off its back. So the horse is the nafs and the rider is the individual. If we do not take control of our nafs, and we do not even know, we do not have the knowledge of how to take control of that nafs will take us in circles, that nafs will take us into the gutters of shaitan, and that nafs will destroy a person. But if a person has the knowledge, a person understands, he has the training of how to take control of the nafs. And the reality is, unfortunately, sadly to say, myself included, in fact, first and foremost, we do not even realize that we have this obligation of taking control of our nafs. We do not even realize it. When a person realizes, he will equip himself with the necessary tools and the necessary knowledge as to how to take control of the nafs. And when a person has that knowledge, when a person understands, now when he mounts that horse realizes and knows that this person, this rider, I cannot take a chance with. This rider is a seasoned rider. This rider knows how to control me, and he will remain subservient to the rider. In a like manner, the nafs will remain subservient to the ruh. Now very quickly, to understand what this nafs is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created every individual with 4 instincts. And understand before we go there, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through His infinite mercy has created everyone, even though we are equipped with the nafs, but Allah has created us on a natural disposition. كُلُّ مَوْلُودٍ يُولَدُ عَلَى الْفِطْرَةِ. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, every child that is born upon al-fitrah, is born upon a natural disposition, and that is al-Islam. Every child is born as a Muslim. فَأَبَوَاهُ يُهَوِّدَانِهِ أو ينصرانه أو يمجسانه. It is then his parents who are Yahudi, and they will make him a Yahudi. The parents are Nasrani, they will make him a Christian. The parents are Majus, they are fire worshippers, they are atheists, whatever else it may be. He will be influenced by the environment that he is living in. So by birth, every person is born a Muslim. The worst tyrant, Fir'aun, was born a Muslim. But then the mahawul, the environment, corrupted him. So every person has these 4 natural instincts with which Allah has created us. Number 1, what does a child do, a baby do when the baby is just born? The first thing, the baby screams and cries. And then the mother places her breast into the mouth of the child, and the child is now satiated, the child is happy, the child is satisfied, and the child stops crying. This is the first instinct, to satiate our hunger. And this instinct remains with every one of us till the end of our lives. Every one of us, what is our fikr? What is our concern? How can I fill my belly? How can I feed my family? The mother's concern is what to prepare. The children's concern when they come back from school, I'm hungry, I want to eat. This instinct remains with a person for the rest of his life, number one. The second instinct, the child is experiencing some discomfort, some pain, some fever, whatever it may be. The mother holds the child close to her bosom. And the child finds its comfort zone, the child keeps quiet, the child is now happy and satisfied. So what is this instinct? Each one of us, for the rest of our lives, we are looking for our comfort zone. We are looking for a roof over our heads. We are looking for a shelter. We are looking for a place, a safe haven for us and our families. This is natural. Every one of us are trying to earn so that we can pay our rental, or we can purchase a house so that we can have a shelter. That is the second instinct. The third instinct that Allah has created within every person is, take your little finger or take anything and place it into the palm of the child, the newborn baby, just born, and see how the child will grasp onto your finger and not let go of it. This instinct is the instinct of ownership and proprietorship. Every person wants to own. If I am renting, then I want to make an effort so that I can afford to purchase. If I have one house, I want to purchase and secure more property for an income. If I'm using public transport, I'm making an effort so that I can own my own transport one day. So this is a natural instinct with which Allah created us. And the last is that if the child is eating a sweet, a candy, a toffee, or playing with a certain toy, and you take that away, what happens? The child will throw a tantrum. The child will put up a performance. And sometimes the child will even try to take back what the child believes belongs to it. So, the natural disposition of every human being, if anybody causes any harm, we will go to defend ourselves, our property, our families. Somebody talks evil of our wives, somebody speaks, or at school our kids forever in getting involved in bullying and fighting and getting hit and hitting. And so what do we do as parents? We go to defend our parents. That is natural. So these four instincts with which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created every human being, these are natural instincts. And there is nothing wrong with these instincts. The facade that we see on the earth today, the corruption, the greed, the jealousy, the malice, whatever we see, it is not because of these instincts, but it is because these instincts were not nurtured in the correct way. These instincts were not trained in the proper way, and that is why we find that a person feels, I need to own a property, I need to fill my belly, I need to do whatever X, Y, and Z, whether it is in a right way or wrong way, whether it is halal or haram, whether it is through cheating someone or not, whether it is through being honest or dishonest, as long as I fulfill these four instincts of mine, I am happy. That is when that nafs has not been trained and we are working out of the framework of the sharia. But when that nafs is trained, that nafs will realize that I have a framework within which I can work as hard as I want, earn as much as I want, but within that framework. And if it is not meant for me, it is not meant for me. That is when this nafs has been trained. And this is why Allah has blessed us with the month of Ramadan, to train the nafs. Now in the month of Ramadan, and I will conclude with this, there are three things that are prohibited while we are fasting: eating, drinking, and indulging in sexual intercourse with our spouses. So these things are haram while we are fasting. But out of the fast, these things are not, and subhanAllah, look at the beauty of our deen. These things are not only permissible, but it is important, it is required, and in our deen and our sharia we even get rewarded for it. Even a person who indulges in sexual relationships with his spouse, he is being rewarded for it. This is our deen. So these three things are such which a person requires it for his growth as a human being. We need to eat to nourish ourselves, part of our growth. We need to drink, we need to indulge for procreation, sexual intercourse. These things are needed for a person's growth. But Allah is telling us that from X amount, from this time to this time, even that which is important for your body, that which is beneficial for your body, you will not be allowed to indulge in. And what is that training? The training is that out of the month of Ramadan, that which is harmful for you, and sin, no matter how much of benefit we see with our eyes in sin, there is nothing but harm in sin. A person looks at sin, he looks at indulging in riba, for example. To his eyes, it is more money. I'm making more money. How can it be harmful? It is beneficial. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says you are declaring a war. Allah is saying that Allah will wipe out your riba that you indulged in. And every other sin, no matter how appetizing it may look, no matter how beneficial it may look, but it is harmful. So Allah is telling you, when you can stay away from something that is beneficial to you for a certain period of time, you need to be trained to stay away from that which is harmful for you and for your body and for your spirituality and for your akhirah for the remaining 11 months of the year. And then how do we achieve this? How do we achieve this? Generally, you take an example of a microwave oven, any appliance, a washing machine. It comes with certain functions. And depending on what function you select on that appliance, that is the service you will get. Microwave, you set it for 30 seconds, it will not give you service for 1 hour. It will, after 30 seconds, automatically it will switch off. Your washing machine has the option of washing, rinsing and drying. You set it for washing, it will not automatically rinse and dry. But if you set it for wash and rinse, it will give you a wash and rinse, it will not give you a dry. Now this example is precisely us. What do we do when the month of Ramadan approaches? We set ourselves for the month of Ramadan for 30 days. For 30 days I will not do this wrong and that wrong. Even the drunkard will say for 30 days I will not touch the bottle. But after 30 days he goes back. He programs himself. Those who go to the movies, they say for 30 days we will not. Today the movies is something that is outdated. Who goes to the movies? We've got movies in our hands, in our pockets. Before it was in our homes, now every individual, even the small child of 5 and 6 years has a movie house in his pocket. But what I'm saying is, we tend to program ourselves that for 30 days I will not indulge in this and that wrong. We'll see after Ramadan. So we are already programming ourselves that we will go back to the wrong that we do after the month of Ramadan. No, let us program ourselves for the remaining 11 months as well. So when the month of Ramadan approaches, we train ourselves that we are now preparing in the month of Ramadan and we are programming ourselves for the remaining 11 months. Inshallah, when we do that, then we will see the benefit of that will last, perhaps not for 11 months. We are insan, we are human beings, but it will last longer than the day of Eid. Otherwise, the day of Eid comes, the hijab is gone off, our topis are gone off, our tarawih, our fard salah is gone, everything is gone after the day of Eid. So that is why it is important that we program ourselves. And one last tip, which I find very beneficial for myself and which I would like to share with you. Let not the month of Ramadan just come and go without us having a routine set for the month of Ramadan. We must have a routine set for the month of Ramadan for our 24 hours. Yes, we need to eat, we need to sleep, we need to do and conduct our business. Include all of that into a routine for the month of Ramadan. Do not just live every day of the month of Ramadan. As the day comes, we pass the day, and then comes the weekend, we decide today no tilawah of the Quran because it is a weekend, I'm giving myself a break. Tomorrow is Sunday, no dhikr. For this day we'll start again on Monday. That is where shaitan comes in, and within a few days we lose the essence of the month of Ramadan. Everything is lost. So we set a routine and we stick to that routine for 30 days, and that means a bit of sacrifices. If your sister-in-law has invited you for lunch, no, nobody invites for lunch. Although I've asked for lunch today. I've asked Brother Imran for lunch for today. If somebody in the family invited us for iftar, tell them, I will come every Friday, every Saturday and Sunday for 11 months, but this is the month of Ramadan, it is me and Allah. Because wallahi, those invites that we have, those tarawih iftar parties that we have, those sahur parties that we have, that is what breaks the momentum of our routine of the month of Ramadan, and we lose the essence. Even those braais that we have, It is a sensitive topic. I know many masajid on the khatam night or Saturday nights, we like to have brides. Cut it out. You have 11 months to do that. Look, in the month of Ramadan, you decided we're having a bride. MashaAllah, we made khatam tonight. We invited everyone. MashaAllah, everyone came. We said we had a bride. But it is not just a bride. We are involving in idle talk. We are now making ghiba. We are talking about the Imam and how he read in Tarawih Salah. We are making a mockery of that Imam. All of these things. And now that was my time after Isha Salah to make my tilawah of the Quran. That time is gone now because I was indulging with my friends in a braai and eating, and all of that time is gone. Shaitan whispers to you and tells you, you know, you lost out your time for tilawah today. Forget about it. It will be tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, Shaitan will make you do something else. After 2-3 days, your morale is gone. It is flat. You have no pluck left to live the rest of the month of Ramadan with that spirituality. So let us cut all of these things out. Let us make a commitment. This Ramadan is me and my Allah. Me, my Allah. Not even family. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it is mentioned in the hadith, he used to tie the string of his pants in the month of Ramadan. What does it mean? He never even engaged in sexual intercourse, which is halal out of fasting time. He did not even engage in that, and he would encourage his family to do the same. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with an accepted month of Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala let us exit the month of Ramadan as Muslims that are better than how we entered the month of Ramadan. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow the benefit and the spirituality of the month of Ramadan to remain till the next Ramadan. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad.